Only when the girl saw her grandmother, dressed in modern clothes standing before her, did she finally realize her grandmother truly planned to leave her grandfather. It turned out, grandmother was originally from the modern world. 40 years ago she accidentally traveled to the past. Back then grandfather used up all his military merits just to marry her. Grandmother insisted on modern values and made him promise she'd be his only wife. For 40 years they loved each other deeply, and grandfather never once broke that promise. Everyone thought they would grow old together like that, but no one expected that when grandfather returned victorious from battle, he brought home a young and beautiful woman. When the family questioned him, grandfather explained that she had saved his life, and he owed her his safe return. Grandmother wanted to repay kindness with kindness, and offered to adopt the scheming woman as a daughter, but grandfather insisted on taking her as his wife. This left grandmother in disbelief, but grandfather said the woman had no one else, and he couldn't abandon her. The scheming woman knelt with teary eyes. Before grandmother could respond, grandfather added that after 40 years of loyalty, he had fulfilled his promise. Then he held the scheming woman's hand, and declared he would marry her. The girl was devastated. She remembered how as a child, grandfather used to brag about how much grandmother loved him, and grandmother always said grandfather was her only reason to stay. But now everything had changed. Just then the uncle arrived in a rush. The girl felt slightly relieved, as the uncle was grandmother's first child. Surely he would support her, but reality was cruel. The uncle immediately advised grandmother to accept grandfather's decision. His wife chimed in saying it was normal for men to have multiple wives, and that grandmother should be more understanding. Only then did grandmother realize she had been the joke all these years. Just as she was about to leave, the girl held her hand, saying that if not for her, the family would have fallen apart long ago. But grandmother shook her head, and calmly said from now on, everything about grandfather was none of her concern. Then she turned and walked away without looking back. The girl had never seen her grandmother so resolute. A deep fear rose in her heart, as if she would leave everything behind, and return to the other world at any moment. Grandfather didn't care at all, and married the scheming woman that very night. The next morning, the girl went to comfort her grandmother, but ran into the scheming woman halfway, who immediately demanded a formal greeting. The girl refused, saying grandmother hadn't approved the marriage, so she was nothing. Grandfather showed up just then, and the scheming woman put on a pitiful act. Grandfather instantly tried to punish the girl, but grandmother arrived in time to stop him, only to be scolded by grandfather in return. The girl couldn't hold back anymore and spoke through tears, reminding him that 20 years ago, when he took the wrong political side, it was grandmother's dowry that saved the family. 10 years ago during the plague, it was grandmother who brewed medicine and saved thousands, earning grandfather his title of general. But grandfather furiously denied everything, claiming he earned everything on his own, and blamed grandmother's one-man one-woman belief for the ridicule he faced in his career. The scheming woman saw her chance, and played the victim again. Grandfather even took the silk handkerchief grandmother had embroidered with her own hands, and gave it to the woman to wipe her tears, then casually tossed it on the ground. At that moment, grandmother's last attachment was cut. The scheming woman continued to sow discord, claiming grandmother never treated grandfather as head of the family. Infuriated, grandfather stormed into grandmother's courtyard, and destroyed her belongings.